Great morning and happy Monday. This is Kristen Young, the marriage enthusiast, with your Monday morning marriage minded message from Living the Vows. So, today's topic is, are you the best your husband has ever had? Are you the best that your husband has ever had? I actually got this topic yesterday and it was interesting. So I wanted to make sure I share this with you. I'm not just talking about in the bedroom. I'm not just talking about sex being the best. I'm talking about in life. Are you the best woman that your husband has ever had? See, a lot of times we get into the mindset that because we're married, we are the best, regardless of whether or not our husbands were married before, or, regardless of how many relationships he's had in the past. The bottom line is the fact that he chose to marry you. That automatically puts you in that best category. That's false. That's absolutely incorrect. That does not mean that you are the best. You were the best at that time. So what I'm asking you, are you the absolute best that your husband has ever had? See, a lot of times what happens is when we're going through that dating process, we are in that space where we're putting our best foot forward. We're showing our best light. We are going above and beyond to make sure our potential husbands at the time believe that we are the ones they want to be with, that we are the most compatible, that we have a great time. So we want to shine our best light. And what happens is, in that dating process, more often than not, especially if we've had bad relationships in the past, we're always looking for something better. We're always looking for something to compare those bad relationships to. So when we meet each other and we're dating and we're going through that process, naturally our psyche will tell us that you're not just, of course, about the 80-20 rule, but that puts us in that 90-10 rule, that 90 percentile. So that when we get to the point where we say, yes, oh my gosh, this person is great. Yes, I've seen a couple little things here and there, but this person is awesome. This person is wonderful. They're 90% of what I'm looking for. Let's get married. And then once we get married, we start to make that shift, because it's hard to put up that facade over and over and over again. It's one thing when you're seeing each other 2, 3, 4 times a week, and then you have that time to go home and be you. It's totally different when you're marrying someone and you're with each other day in and day out, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, every single day, learning your routines, learning your idiosyncrasies and all these other things that make you, the real you, no longer putting that best foot forward. So we get to that place where we start to shrink back and fall into those routines and fall into our poor habits that start to show up. And we fall back to maybe that 60-40 rule. We're only doing about 60%. That's where a lot of couples start to fall short. That's where a lot of couples start to look outside of their marriage. That's when couples really start to get into trouble, because you've been together, you've been married for a couple of years. You're in the mindset that this is the person I'm supposed to be with for life. That's what you signed up for. You signed up to be life partners until death. But you're starting to see things that you don't really care for, and you're starting to see more habits that you don't like than habits that you do like, and you're starting to see all of the things that were hidden when you were dating. So now you start to question, is this really the one for me? Is this really the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with? Is this really the person that is truly the best person for me? That's when all those questions start to come up. So if we're not doing our absolute best, those questions are going to continue to come up. And let me make something absolutely clear. There's no such thing as the one. There's always someone else out there. There are multiple people in this world that we can marry and have an absolutely beautiful marriage with. So there's no such thing as the one. There is always someone who looks better than you. There is always someone who can cook better than you. There's always someone who can manage kids better than you. There's always someone who can manage finances better than you. There's always someone who could be a better wife. Always. But what your responsibility is to get to that place to say, you know what? I love my husband. I love my marriage. I honor my vows, and I'm going to do what I need to do to be the best that he's ever had. I want to get to that place where I know without a shadow of a doubt, he's not looking elsewhere. So even if you do shrink back and start to show the real you, and you fall into that 60 category, it's your responsibility to continue to strive and say, what can I do for my husband today? How can I serve him better? How can I be a better me? And as you're continuing to focus on you and be a better you, you're naturally going to be a better wife. You're naturally going to be a better partner. You're naturally going to be a better mother. So all those things, if we're constantly focusing on how can I just step it up one notch today, how can I serve my husband a little bit better today than I did yesterday? Then you're constantly moving from that 60 up to that 70, back up to the 80%. And once you hit that 80%, don't stop. Keep going. What's wrong with shooting for 82%, 85%, shooting for the actual 90% that he believed he had when you first married? What's wrong with continuing to be in the space where you're saying, I want to be a better me for him. I want to be a better me for me in order to be a better me for him. We have to stay in that mindset of how can I serve better? Because I guarantee if you're in that mindset of how can I serve my husband better, he's going to pay attention to that and he's naturally going to want to serve you better. That's what marriage is all about. How can I serve my spouse? It's not about you. It's not about the individual. We're always looking at how can I serve the other person better. So I want to encourage you to continue to focus on how can you be the best that your husband has ever had? How can you get to that space where no matter what his previous relationships look like, no matter who else is out there, how can you get to the space where your husband naturally wants to shut his peripheral vision off and focus straight on you? That is our goal in marriage. Shut it all off. How can he say, yes, I want to have fun with my wife. Yes, I want to make love to my wife. Yes, my wife is the only person that I'm thinking about, the only person I'm rushing home to. She is the one. How can you get to that space of believing that there's no reason to look elsewhere? There's no reason to think otherwise. My wife is the best. So I encourage you to make that your goal for 2017. If I can support you with it, by all means, reach out. I do have a few slots available on my calendar for this week. Go to www.livingthevows.com. You can email us directly, yes@livingthevows.com, and just say, hey, I want to be the best wife my husband has ever had. We can support you with that. And of course, we are less than 3 weeks away from the Word to the Wives experience happening on Saturday, March 18th in Catonsville, Maryland. Every wife needs to be there. This is your opportunity to say, I do to you. Get clear on who you are, who you desire to be as a woman, as a wife, just as a whole person. Get clear on what you desire, what's missing, what's lacking in your life so you can be the best woman your husband has ever had. So I encourage you, go right now, www.livingthevows.com. Register. We only have a few seats left available. As I said, we're less than 3 weeks. We've been selling tickets. We want you in the room. You want you in the room, okay? So make sure you register there. Have a fantastic week. Have a fantastic Monday. And make sure you continue to focus on how you can be the best your husband has ever had.